So I have to respond to Peter Dinklage. You all know Peter Dinklage. He's the dwarf actor who played Tyrion on Game of Thrones. Terrific performance. He was on a podcast, and he started taking off after Disney. Disney has been very successful making their old animated features into live action features. The best one, I think, was Cinderella, which was Kenneth Branagh, and he just made Cinderella. He didn't do anything politically correct. He didn't update it. He just told the story, and it was actually quite a good movie. So they're making Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and they've cast the lady from West Side Story, Rachel Zegler, as Snow White. And Dinklage is on a podcast, and he says, literally no offense to anyone, but I was a little taken aback when they were very proud to cast a Latina actress as Snow White, but you're still telling the story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Take a step back and look at what you're doing there. It makes no sense to me. You're progressive in one way because they're casting a Latina, but then you're still making that backwards story about seven dwarfs living in a cave together. What the blank are you doing, man? Have I done nothing to advance the cause from my soapbox? I guess I'm not loud enough. Dinklage is not involved with the Disney film, and Disney, of course, immediately caves in and says, to avoid reinforcing stereotypes from the original animated film, we're taking a different approach with these seven characters and have been consulting with members of the dwarfism community. Now, you know, Dinklage is a terrific actor, and I'm sorry he's grumpy, but he's being a little dopey here. First of all, fairy tales are not about your particular political point of view. They're not about whatever you're selling this week. They are very, very deep stories that speak into children's hearts, and children understand them immediately. I want to read a great book about this. It's called Saving Cinderella, What Feminists Get Wrong About Disney Princesses and How to Set It Right. It's by Faith Moore, who, yes, happens to be my daughter, but it's also a terrific book you can get on Amazon, Saving Cinderella. But basically what Faith talks about, and what is obviously true, is these are stories that speak into the heart of children, in the hearts of children, and children understand them. Children understand that when a fairy godmother comes and gives you a dress, that there's no fairy godmother. They understand that a mouse isn't going to sew up your dress and all this stuff. They understand that they're being told something about their inner lives, and if that is being told in the person of dwarfs, there's absolutely no reason to change that in any way, shape, or form. It's not going to have anything to do. It's only good. All it's going to do is block off the contact with that part of children's hearts that responds to that. And that is not going to be a good thing. That's not going to help you out. But the other side of this, in some ways, is more what I want to talk about. Peter Dinklage is a dwarf, and I'm not going to, I make a little joke about that, but I'm not laughing at that. That's an actual disability. I'm sure it made childhood incredibly tough. I'm sure it makes life tough even today, and I have no idea what the experience of living with that is. And I'm not belittling it, so to speak, and no pun intended. I'm not diminishing the power of what that is in his life. On the other hand, if you took another perspective on it, Peter Dinklage is the luckiest dwarf who has ever lived, okay? He's a dwarf actor who happened to be born at the one time in all of human history when the top romantic lead in one of the biggest productions ever made, certainly of its decade, was a dwarf, and he got the part. And nobody said boo. Nobody said, oh, you can't have a romantic lead who's a dwarf. Nobody cared. I mean, I was riveted to the screen for like 8 years. For 8 years, this guy had the best part in the world, really, literally the best part in the world that he got. A little change in perspective, and he might be grateful. He might say, what a wonderful thing happened to me. What a wonderful thing that God, providence, luck, whatever he wants to call it, took my problem and turned it into a blessing. That's an amazing thing, and I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful to live in a country that accepted it. I'm grateful to be born in a time that accepted it. And you know what? That gratitude has given me so much faith in my fellow countrymen and in the people who watch, who watch these productions, that I trust that when they see Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, they're not going to take it as an attack on dwarfs. They're going to understand it as a story that speaks into the heart of children. Why is it that our creative class feels that they can only achieve intellectual seriousness by bitching and moaning? Why is it that they cannot see that they are living in a way in the best possible timeline, and certainly in the best country to be living that timeline in? It's fake. It's a fake kind of intellectual seriousness. And the idea that somehow his role in Game of Thrones was meant to move the needle on our attitudes toward dwarfs. If our attitude wasn't accepting, we wouldn't have watched the show in the first place. Just why, I don't understand why complaining, why negativity, why pessimism is considered somehow more profound than simply understanding that, if you don't live with gratitude, if you don't live with joy, you are wasting the only life on earth you will ever get, which I think is a more profound insight than Peter Dinklage complaining after having lived really, really a very, very fortunate life in spite of his disability. I'm sure you're enjoying this great content, so why not like and subscribe so you get more? And if you want even more Klavan-y goodness, subscribe to the Andrew Klavan Podcast.